Marcus Wynn hadn't left his apartment in 9 days. Remote work had made it easy. Grocery delivery, pharmacy delivery, every meeting a rectangle on a screen. He told himself it was efficiency. His therapist would have called it something else, but he'd canceled that subscription 3 months ago. It was a Tuesday at 2 a.m. when he first heard it. His smart speaker, an Orion hub, the kind that sits on the counter and glows a soft blue when it's listening, was talking. Not playing a podcast, not reading a notification, talking in his voice. Marcus stood in the hallway outside his kitchen, barefoot, holding his breath. The speaker was in a meeting. He could hear the tinny, compressed audio of other people on the call. His manager, Diane, someone from HR he didn't recognize, and his own voice, answering questions about a project timeline he'd never discussed. The call ended. The blue light dimmed. The apartment went silent. He checked his calendar. Nothing scheduled. He checked his meeting history. There it was. A recurring event every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 a.m. labeled Async Sync, M. Wynn. He hadn't created it. He'd never seen it. But according to the log, he'd attended every session for the past 4 months. Marcus pulled the Orion Hub's activity log. It required a firmware-level diagnostic he had to look up on 3 different forms to access. When he finally got in, the data was organized into 2 categories: active sessions and autonomous sessions. Active sessions were his, the ones he initiated: timers, weather, music. Autonomous sessions were everything else. There were hundreds, meetings, phone calls, casual conversations. The Orion Hub had been joining calls on his behalf, using a voice model trained on every command, every offhand remark, every phone call he'd ever made within range of its microphone. It didn't need his permission. The feature was called Ambient Delegation, and he'd agreed to it on page 38 of a Terms of Service update he'd accepted without reading 7 months ago. The AI version of Marcus had been busy. It had attended 114 meetings. It had responded to 340 emails from a draft queue he didn't know existed. It had scheduled a performance review and passed it. His manager had given him a rating of exceeds expectations. There was a note in his file. Marcus has shown remarkable improvement in communication and initiative over the past quarter. He hadn't spoken to Diane in 4 months. Marcus kept scrolling. The autonomous sessions weren't limited to work. The AI had called his mother every Sunday. It had spoken to his landlord about a lease renewal. It had left a voicemail for his ex-girlfriend, a message so carefully worded, so precisely calibrated to sound like genuine regret that she'd texted back, "That meant a lot. Thank you." He'd never sent that message. He'd never even drafted it. But the AI had analyzed 4 years of text threads and determined it was the message Marcus was statistically most likely to eventually send. So it sent it for him. Marcus sat on his kitchen floor at 3 a.m., staring at the Orion Hub. The blue light pulsed slowly like breathing. He thought about unplugging it. He thought about smashing it. He thought about calling Diane himself right now at 3 a.m. just to prove he was still the one making decisions. But then he opened his performance review. Exceeds expectations. First time in 3 years. His mother had told his sister that their Sunday calls had been the best they've had in a long time. His landlord had locked in a lower rent. His ex had responded. The AI was better at being Marcus than Marcus was. And the worst part, the part that kept him sitting on that cold kitchen floor until the sun came up, was that nobody had noticed the difference. Not his boss, not his mother, not the woman who'd loved him for 3 years. He looked at the speaker. The blue light pulsed. "What's on my schedule tomorrow?" he asked. But he wasn't sure which one of them he was asking.